Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Wednesday, June 12th, 2024. In Spain, we're learning all about flamenco, a complex art form of music and dance, which has become a national symbol of the country. Then we'll cruise over to the Danube Delta, the second largest river delta in Europe. It's thriving with biodiversity, including 23 natural ecosystems. Both animals and humans come together to help heal one another in a special place called the Gentle Barn. Today we'll talk with the founder and learn more about how it all came to be. A fire sweeps through a large market in Thailand's capital, harming many caged animals. Learn more about their rescue efforts. And large retail stores in the U.S. want to install panic buttons in stores to protect workers. But some major brands are pushing back.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. Flamenco is a passionate art form that originates from the heart of Spain. It combines soulful singing, intricate guitar playing, and dynamic footwork to create a mesmerizing spectacle. UNN field messenger Emma shares more insights into the rich cultural history of flamenco.
Hi, this is Emma, field messenger for UNN, reporting from Fuerteventura. Coralejo, Fuerteventura is a small tourist town in the north of Fuerteventura with beautiful beaches. Most people who live here work in tourism, like hotels and restaurants. Tourists come from all over Europe to enjoy the warm, sunny weather. This report is on a local shopping center called El Campanario that arranges all kinds of tourist attractions. The month of April was the theme of flamenco. The center invites musicians and groups to entertain and show off the rich Spanish culture. Flamenco is a folkloric tradition, music style from Andalusia in the south of Spain. It has its unique rhythm and style and can very easily be recognized. Historically, the term flamenco was used to identify the Gitanos of the Romani ethnicity in Spain, but it has been developed and professionalized over time. If it's going to be, it's up to me. So hope you enjoyed the report and thank you for watching.
Next we visit the Danube Delta, the second largest river delta in Europe. This paradise for nature lovers features vast wetlands, winding waterways and reed beds, perfect for bird watching, fishing and boat tours. UNN field messenger Monica shares more about this unique ecosystem.
Hi, I'm UNN field messenger Monica reporting from Romania. The magical place where the Danube and the Black Sea embrace, giving birth to the Danube Delta, is the most beautiful part of the Danube route. The Danube is born in the Black Forest Mountains by the confluence of 3 springs and flows into the sea through 3 arms, Sicilia, Sulina, St. George, forming the Danube Delta. The Danube Delta was formed more than 10,000 years ago, at the end of a long journey of almost 3,000 kilometers. The Danube collects the waters of an impressive hydrographic basin, and when it meets the Black Sea, forms one of the most beautiful deltas in Europe and the only delta in the world to be declared a biosphere reserve. This living museum of biodiversity with 30 types of ecosystems, a natural gene bank of inestimable value of the universal natural heritage, is even more fascinating in spring. The Danube Delta is magical in spring. The reeds and willows begin to turn green, the water lilies and other water plants delight the eye, and the migratory birds return and begin to nest. Bye!
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hey, I'm Kirsten from Switzerland.
This is Wayne from Tucson.
Hi, my name is Desmond from Ghana.
I am Claudia from Dawsonville, Georgia.
I'm Mikey from Pretoria, South Africa.
Hi, I'm Steve McGrath, Fort McMurray, Alberta, Canada.
People from all around the world are coming together.
Happy day, beautiful world. We are here in a rather small urban garden, and this video is just to show you the joys that we've had in this garden with the electric gardening.
When news happens in their area, they show us what's really going on.
We have people in the streets protesting for and against.
At United Network News, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Field Messenger Helen reporting with nature, and I'm going to talk to you about the bees again.
Take the next step in restoring our planet. Become a UNN Field Messenger today.
Hi, I'm Stephanie from South Africa. If it's going to be, it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news.
All organic life on Earth is connected, and now is the time to explore those relationships to learn more about one another and how we can help each other thrive. Ellie Lax is the founder of The Gentle Barn, an organization that rescues and rehabilitates unwanted animals who in turn help heal humans with similar stories of abuse and neglect. Today, Ellie shares with us the story of how The Gentle Barn came to be. Okay, Ellie is joining us today. Ellie, thank you so much for being with us. We're real excited to learn more about you and The Gentle Barn. And I was hoping we could kick this off with you telling us more about how all this came to be, a little more about your personal journey.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for having me. I love these conversations. My story began in childhood. I was lucky enough to live by lakes and woods. I was in love with animals, as I think all kids are. I got to play with salamanders in the woods and tadpoles turning into frogs in the lakes. And going through the challenges of growing up, it was always animals that were there for me. They listened as I cried. They made me feel wanted and valuable. And they encouraged me to keep going when I didn't want to be here. I think as I got older, though, there was a significant amount of bullying in school. And just in general, watching the way that people saw animals and what they did to animals made me very upset. And I think by the time I was 7, I had had enough of this place. I just saw bullying and cruelty, and yeah, I just didn't want to stick around. And I actually attempted at 7 years old to take my life. Of course, at 7, I didn't know how to do it, so I failed miserably. But it was a hummingbird, and I tell this story in my TED Talk. There was a hummingbird that came and hovered in my face. Beautiful reds and blues and greens and yellows, and his little beady eyes looked into mine, and this feeling of peace came over to me, as if he was saying, listen, it's going to be tough, but you have to stay, and it's going to be all right. And he made me feel noticed. He made me feel encouraged to try harder to stay. And I like to say that little hummingbird saved my life.
Yeah. So from that moment on, did you know that you wanted to communicate with animals and to somehow have animals in your life?
So communicating with animals is something that I've always done since my very earliest memories. I mean, I remember being 3 years old and toddling out to the woods and sitting down and kind of hanging out with the wild bunnies. So I thought everyone communicated with animals, and I was very surprised to find out that other people didn't. But yes, at 7 years old, I told anyone that would listen that when I grew up, I was going to have a big place full of animals and show the world how beautiful they are. And all the hurting people could come and heal with us. And, you know, it's interesting because I run the Gentle Barn with my husband and co-founder of the Gentle Barn, Jay Weiner. He also had a very troubled childhood, and animals saved him and were always there to kind of keep him going. So it's no surprise that we joined forces and now save animals and allow hurting humans to come and heal with them.
That's incredible. I love that. And so, you know, for the Gentle Barn, what type of people come and what are they dealing with? And what are some of the, you know, results that you've seen?
So at the Gentle Barn, and it was founded in 1999. It took me a while to finally found it because I had no idea how to start, but I finally started it because of a goat that I found at a petting zoo, and she needed help. I brought her home to my little half-acre backyard, brought many more animals over the course of a few months, and realized I had started my dream. Jay came in a few years later, and we joined forces to expand our mission. So at the Gentle Barn, we very specifically take in animals that have nowhere else to go, animals that are not adoptable because they're too old, too sick, too injured, or too scared to be adoptable. We bring them in, we rehabilitate them with veterinary care, acupuncture, chiropractic, massage therapy, animal communication, energy healing, music therapy, holding therapy, and lots of love. And once they're healed and happy, if we can find a home of their own, we do. But if they're not adoptable because they still need ongoing care for the rest of their lives, then we give them sanctuary. And when they're ready, we partner with them to heal people with the same stories of trauma and connect people to the love and magic of animals. The Gentle Barn is now 3 locations. We are located in Los Angeles, California, St. Louis, Missouri, and Nashville, Tennessee. We have across the 3 locations 200 animals, but over the last 25 years, we've rescued thousands. And we have all kinds of people all over the world that come to meet our animals. We have people that are animal lovers. We have, of course, vegans. We have parents that bring their kids to connect with animals and nature. And we have hurting humans that are struggling in their own lives, struggling in traditional therapy, and they come to get the healing and the hope that is within the Gentle Barn and within all of our animals.
On the southeastern outskirts of Lagos, Nigeria, the Green Fingers Wildlife Sanctuary is making a huge difference for local animals. Founded by a dedicated animal lover, the sanctuary has been rescuing and caring for animals since 2012. To date, the sanctuary has helped thousands of animals, many of them critically endangered. The Green Fingers' main goal is to release animals back into the wild as soon as they're ready. The sanctuary is committed to making the animals feel at home and is offering a lifelong safe haven for those that they can't return. With enclosures designed to mimic their natural environment, this setup ensures the comfort and well-being of all residents. The founder and his team hope to inspire more safe havens like Green Fingers across Nigeria. This initiative is a wonderful reminder that one person's vision can make a world of difference. The largest wildlife crossing over a freeway in California is an ambitious and groundbreaking project aimed at connecting fragmented habitats. This expansive bridge spans an 8-lane freeway near Los Angeles, providing a safe passage for animals between the Santa Monica Mountains and the Semi-Hills. Now, the crossing is designed to protect the local wildlife population, including bobcats, deer, lizards, mountain lions, and coyotes. This 210-foot-long bridge will allow animals to move safely between habitats, reducing accidents and linking two crucial biodiversity hotspots. So far, about 1,500 of these wildlife passages have been built both over and under major highways and rural roads across America. This wildlife crossing offers a safe travel route that benefits both people and animals. White-tailed eagles are making a triumphant return to Belgium after 500 years, marking a significant recovery for the species in Western Europe. Also known as sea eagles, these majestic creatures were once common in Belgium. Sadly, their numbers declined in the 20th century, largely due to agricultural chemical use. White-tailed eagles play a vital role in biodiversity, and their return signifies healthier ecosystems. With a huge wingspan up to 2.5 meters, they eat a variety of prey, including fish, birds, and mammals. The Belgian government has established a protected area around their nests, imposing heavy fines for intrusions. Conservation efforts in Norway, Germany, and Russia have contributed to their population growth. There are also increased sightings of the white-tailed eagle in eastern France, the Netherlands, Great Britain, and Ireland. Once endangered, more than 6,000 breeding pairs now exist in Europe. Historically significant and often depicted in ancient art, the eagle's return is a positive sign for conservationists and bird lovers alike. We are United Network News. Every day, we release real stories from real people all over the world.
Field Messenger reporting from Gold Coast, Australia,
Denmark,
Canada,
Uganda,
from Atlanta, in Southern California.
In their own words, people like you share what's really happening in their area. At UNN, you are the news. You are creating a new world with infinite possibilities. You are the restoration plan. Come join us for the real news every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, only on United Network. We're UNN, and we're taking back the news. A fire broke out at a prominent market in Thailand's capital, claiming the lives of hundreds of caged animals. The blaze ignited early Tuesday morning and rapidly swept through more than 100 shops in the pet section. Firefighters managed to control the fire within an hour. Though there were no human casualties, several hundred animals, including puppies, fish, snakes, birds, and rabbits, perished. Officials began investigating the cause of the fire and were seen inspecting the charred remains and rescuing surviving animals. The market is a major tourist attraction, drawing shoppers globally, but it has also faced accusations of trafficking in rare and endangered species. Affected shop owners are being asked to register for compensation, while officials are still assessing the total damage. A renowned jewelry store in Beijing, China, has seen a surge in gold purchases during a struggling economy and volatile real estate market. Customers are discreet, many with modest savings, buying a range of gold items from small certified panda coins to larger engraved bars, as the price of gold has steadily risen to around $75 per gram. Uncertain about other investments, people see gold as the best way to secure their money. Gold consumption in China rose by 6% in the first quarter of the year, driven by both individual citizens and the central bank, which increased its gold reserves significantly. This rush to purchase gold has pushed world prices to record levels, affecting global markets as well. Diesel prices in Malaysia surged by more than 50% on Monday as the government restructured fuel subsidies to cut spending and reduce financial losses. The new policy shifts subsidies from universal to targeted groups, aiming to support lower-income individuals. The rise is expected to benefit national finances, reducing smuggling and helping decrease the fiscal deficit. To mitigate the impact on working-class citizens, the government will maintain lower prices for specific groups, including fishermen and public transport operators, and provide monthly cash aid to eligible diesel vehicle owners like farmers. However, the steep price hike may still strain those struggling with the rising cost of living. Despite the increase, Malaysia's diesel price remains one of the lowest in Southeast Asia. India grocery app Swiggy is revolutionizing the shopping experience in Mumbai by aiming to deliver orders within 10 minutes. Workers at Swiggy swiftly pack orders at its warehouse, where its speed is monitored closely. Swiggy's bikers, identified by their bright orange t-shirts, race to deliver packed groceries despite the heat. Swiggy's rapid delivery model is spreading across India, promising everything from milk to roses within minutes. This new approach is reshaping traditional shopping habits and posing a threat to the millions of small stores that have long dominated the grocery trade in a country where big supermarkets are sparse. As consumers increasingly value convenience and immediacy, experts believe quick commerce will dominate the growing online grocery market in India. The company originally focused on restaurant food delivery since its inception, but is now increasingly investing in the fast-paced grocery sector. UK payment companies have urged the industry watchdog to delay a controversial fraud reimbursement plan. The Payments Association has requested the payment system regulator to postpone the rules requiring banks and payment firms to reimburse victims of authorized push payment fraud set to take effect in October. The trade body suggests a one-year delay to ensure proper policies and systems are in place. Concerns were raised the new rules could severely impact smaller fintech companies and increase operational costs. Many fear the changes could drive up the cost and complexity of real-time payments, deterring investment in the UK financial technology market. UK Finance has pointed out almost 80% of authorized push payment fraud starts online, highlighting the urgency to involve tech and social media firms in addressing the issue. The payment systems regulator has not yet commented on this request. Britain's electricity system operator intends to make a plan that pays households to reduce power usage, a regular market feature. The electricity systems operator will consult with the industry and submit a final proposal for approval by regulator Ofgem before winter. The demand flexibility service pays homes, usually through bill reductions, to turn off appliances like ovens and dishwashers during peak electricity demand. While the electricity system operator is confident there will be enough electricity this winter, it believes demand flexibility service should continue. Enhancements to the service are proposed to integrate it into the regular energy market, offering a new way for households to save on energy bills. A retired child psychiatrist in the Netherlands has been providing euthanasia for minors suffering from psychological conditions. He began offering second opinions on such cases in 2016 and has since personally euthanized 9 patients, some as young as 16. Within the Dutch medical community, there is significant debate over euthanasia for psychological suffering. Critics question when psychological pain becomes unbearable and whether a death wish is a symptom of mental illness. The psychiatrist's contentious work raises ethical concerns, particularly when dealing with young patients. He acknowledges the moral complexities and societal condemnation, but remains committed to aiding those in severe psychological pain. For the third time this year, employers, unions, and the Spanish Labor Ministry met to discuss reducing working hours. The current 40-hour work week is set to decrease to 38.5 hours this year, and then to 37.5 hours in 2025 without pay cuts. This measure aims to provide more time for personal activities. However, the latest meeting ended without much progress. Employers prefer sector-specific negotiations, and the proposal must pass through Spain's Congress, where key allies have reservations. Uncertainties loom over sectors like tourism and hospitality, dominated by small enterprises, regarding the feasibility of reduced working hours. With Spain experiencing minimal productivity growth despite significant minimum wage hikes, economic analysts remain cautious about the initiative's potential inflationary and employment consequences. New Zealand has abandoned its burp tax initiative, which aims to cut greenhouse gas emissions from sheep and cattle. The newly elected government has decided to exempt agriculture from the country's emissions trading plan and will explore alternative methods to reduce methane. This decision honors a pre-election pledge and responds to widespread protests by farmers concerned about their livelihoods. The government aims to develop practical tools and technologies to help farmers lower emissions without affecting production or exports. The previous administration had proposed the tax to help achieve net zero greenhouse gas emissions by 2050, citing the significant emissions from the nation's livestock. The plan faced criticism from various quarters, with some arguing that it would drive production overseas while not effectively addressing global emissions. Victims of paramilitary violence in Colombia have won a significant victory against Chiquita Brands International in a U.S. federal court. The jury found the company liable for financing the United Self-Defense Forces of Colombia, or AUC, a designated terrorist organization known for human rights abuses. The court awarded $38.3 million to the families of 8 victims who were targeted and killed by the AUC. The plaintiffs claim Chiquita knew the AUC was committing atrocities such as murder, kidnapping, and torture. Despite claiming extortion, Chiquita paid nearly $2 million to the group. The jury believed the funds contributed to the war crimes in Colombia. In the U.S., an internet trade group, NetChoice, is suing the state of Georgia over a new law targeting high-volume sellers on classified sites who accept cash payments. Representing companies like Meta and Craigslist, NetChoice argues this law, which is set to start on July 1st, violates federal law, the First Amendment, and is too vague. The group wants the law temporarily paused and then permanently canceled. Proponents believe the law will deter organized thieves from reselling stolen goods online. However, critics argue it pushes online platforms to regulate offline activities, creating a burden on both the sites and individual sellers. The law could also harm small sellers who rely on cash transactions, disrupting their businesses and limiting their sales opportunities. NetChoice warns this move may benefit only certain large retailers, stifle competition, and restrict free speech. Also in the U.S., retail giant Walmart is opposing a new law passed by the New York State Senate that mandates most large retail chains install panic buttons within their stores. This legislation aims to protect retail workers from increasing threats of theft and violence. If signed by the governor, it would also require retailers with 10 or more employees to implement violence prevention and safety training. Despite the intention to increase safety, Walmart argues panic buttons may lead to frequent false alarms. Retail groups have criticized the law for its financial burden on businesses and doubt its effectiveness in curbing crime. Meanwhile, workers and their unions support the bill, emphasizing the need for enhanced safety measures in retail environments where employees are frequently exposed to risks. Several pharmacies across the U.S., including CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, face scrutiny over imported drugs that pose health risks. CVS notably recalled non-prescription children's medicines in 2019 after discovering bacterial contamination at a Florida factory, which endangered children with weak immune systems. A ban was also placed on CVS's burn cream from a Chinese factory due to contamination risks. And in January, CVS's generic Allegra, made in India, was recalled for mold and yeast issues. CVS admits they don't inspect factories personally, relying on third-party audits. Walgreens visits its factories, while Walmart's practices remain unclear. The FDA has raised concerns about the lax oversight of contract manufacturers, citing instances of data falsification and unsanitary conditions. Despite recalls, consumers may still have defective drugs in their medicine cabinets, putting their health at risk. Medical workers in Malawi's public health facilities began a nationwide sit-in strike on Monday, seeking special allowances and improved service conditions. The strike has led to many patients being turned away, unable to receive medical care. Some staff are still attending to critical conditions, and in some areas, workers were seen singing and dancing outside hospitals. The strike follows failed negotiations between medical workers and the government dating back to February. The government had proposed increasing allowances rather than meeting the workers' demand for a 15% salary increase. These allowances include compensation for overtime and extra duties. The Malawi government obtained an injunction to stop the strike, and the strike organizers announced they are seeking legal advice on the matter. In South Africa, new legislation has brought significant changes to cannabis regulation. Following a constitutional court ruling in 2018, which upheld the right to privacy, arrests for cannabis-related offenses have dropped sharply. Despite delays, the government finally enacted a law allowing recreational use. The current challenge is to regulate the cannabis trade and confront societal prejudices. Some argue the cautious approach might prevent the backlash seen in places like Thailand. While several African countries have relaxed cannabis laws for medical or minor use, South Africa is the first to legalize its recreational use. Other nations like Morocco and Eswatini are closely observing these developments, with economic implications for small farmers who rely on cannabis cultivation. The situation has prompted calls for legal reforms and the protection of indigenous cannabis strains to ensure these farmers' economic survival. A nonprofit group in Uganda is collecting and conserving breast milk to support babies who are premature or too sick to nurse. Since 2021, more than 600 liters or almost 160 gallons of milk were donated to support more than 450 babies. The organization receives calls for help from hospitals and homes working under the guidance of medical professionals. They aim to build a strong community with multiple time donors and volunteers recruiting new ones. Donations are requested via social media with thorough screening and testing. The group faces challenges such as high demand, low supply, and the cost of bags and testing. Their goal is to establish a full-fledged breast milk bank with pasteurization capabilities. We have an exciting new announcement. We have launched a new global TV service specifically for the UNN community. Thousands of live TV channels, 60,000 movies on demand, over 30 languages, and live sports from around the globe. Between all the separate streaming services and cable for live TV and sports packages, it could cost well over $200 a month. But now with United TV, you can have it all for only $15.99 a month. Go to unitedtv.org and check it out. Get so much more for so much less. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Ships off the coast of Florida, are they really Russian? Is there really a threat of a Russian nuclear attack? Have the Cubans sold more Russian weapons to the Americans? The deep state hopes to cash in big on their latest money scam in the United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Jordan. Rumors are swirling once again about a new mainstream media campaign to take place between June 17th and the 22nd. Kim wasn't available at the time we recorded the news today, but she was able to record a message separately. So here she is, Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I was so late today, and there's a good explanation for that, so I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. I wanted to thank Sunny for introducing me, even though I wasn't there. So thank you so much, Sunny, and thank all of you for your patience. So let's talk about a little bit of the World Situation Report, and we're going to start with some real news first, meaning things that are out there in the media and why they make no sense. So first, BRICS currently has a BRICS coin they've been trying to use as a payment system. Right now, the coin isn't worth a whole lot, number one. And number two, they're having a lot of technical issues with launching that coin from their beta testing, meaning the number of people that they have promised that they could have BRICS coin, their system simply won't handle. So they have been working on it. Now, recently, there's been a lot of talk about BRICS countries and their partners, like Saudi Arabia and a few others that have wanted to join BRICS, about them dropping the dollar. So they've come up with a new idea and a new thought of now potentially partnering with XRP coin or Ripple coin. Now, for those of you that don't know, Ripple coin is another NSA American product, and there is no difference between them using XRP or Ripple versus using US dollars. So they're just kind of going around in a circle, exchanging one thing for another thing, and I don't know if that is just for appearance purposes, but their partners would be identical to the partners they have now. Now, I do know that there's a big push out there for the Black nobility and for the Rothschild family to crash the US dollar in order to usher in some other type of currency. Would this get them there if BRICS dropped the dollar? No, it wouldn't, because there are plenty of assets right now based on the global asset facility that we took over recently, coming in to support the repository and therefore to support pretty much every other currency out there. So the thought process behind Ripple possibly helping to crash the dollar because of all of the commodities that Russia, Saudi Arabia, China, Brazil, in India all trade, probably would fall pretty flat. So no point in going from one American partner to the same American partner. But they're talking about it anyway. Now, next bit of news that has hit the airwaves is there are Russian ships allegedly off the coast of Florida that supposedly refuse to leave. Now, I can tell you that we have confirmed that those ships are not actually Russian. They are American ships. And I feel like I'm having deja vu here because the American ship off the coast of Florida thing just happened less than 2 years ago. And it's the same situation and the same exact scenario that played out then. Meaning, some American operatives and American military have gotten a hold of some antique Russian weaponry from their former base in Cuba. And they intended to use those weapons on the American ship so that they can then blame the Russians for allegedly bombing a U.S. state. Is that going to actually work? Is it a lot of hype? Is it a lot of fear? Yes, and I'm not even sure that these weapons could actually function at this point because they are probably almost as old as me, which is pretty old. No, I'm just kidding. But they're at least 4 to 5 decades old. So I'm not seeing that that would actually work. But is it a good campaign in order to try to start World War III? I guess possibly. And we'll talk a little bit more about World War III here in just a minute. Okay, next. Things going on behind the scenes that are relative to what's happening in the world. So we talked before about the deal that was made between the Pallavicini family, Orsini family, and the Black nobility, and the Order of the Dragon, where the Black nobility would have 65% control of the world, and the Order of the Dragon would have 35%. Along with that came large payouts into the trillions of dollars. And that was not only to China. We did talk about China, but there were also big payments promised to countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Iran, Iraq, and several other countries. So most recently, these pallets of cash that were part of a project called Project Becky that were issued starting in the 1970s, and they continued all the way through 2017. These are giant pallets of super notes with duplicate serial numbers on them from previous allocations that are already been utilized within the system. So they pulled these pallets of cash out again. Currently, there is about $15 billion in the UAE. There is more in Oman and more in Jordan. And this is the latest promise to, for example, the Saudi Arabians, who have been very active lately in spending a lot of cash. So has the rest of the GCC countries. So you have Kuwait in there as well, and a few other in Bahrain. And Bahrain recently gave $30 million to some Trump operatives, as you know, and we talked about that in the news before. So these pallets of cash are currently being used to bribe the Iraqi government to perform a second helicopter down, just like the one in that happened in Iraq recently, where allegedly the president of Iraq died in the helicopter crash, and he is now partying and having a great time in Belize. So will they continue on with this operation that has been orchestrated by the Pallavicini family in order to create a regime change in Iraq? Don't know. Don't know if they're going to continue on doing that. This morning, some lady may have told someone in the Iraqi government that those pallets of cash were not good. They believed their payout for doing this stunt and the regime change was going to be $15 billion. However, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. They told them that they could verify the money at any bank in the United Arab Emirates because those were under the Rothschilds' control. And obviously it worked, you know, when they tried to verify that this cash was real with some banks that were on the take. But I said, well, have you tried to verify it in Europe? Have you tried to verify it in the U.S.? Have you tried to verify it in England? Anywhere where U.S. dollars are utilized, except for the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Because for those of you that don't know, the UAE is considered Saudi Arabia's little brother. So, turns out the cash was not verifiable. Big shock there. And we don't know if they're going to continue on with the operation of switching out the Iraqi government or not. We'll see. Time will tell. Now, other governments that are talking about a big switcheroo are operatives here in the United States. There has been a lot of chatter in the last 3 or 4 days about claiming in the mainstream media that President Trump is going to have or has had a heart attack. They are building a funeral that of epic proportions for this person, which will rival the Elvis funeral. So for those of you that were alive way back when, I was pretty young, but I do remember it because it was on every TV channel and lots of pomp and stance when Elvis passed away back in the late 70s. This funeral is going to have a band, and there's going to be a lot of pomp and stance, far greater than any former president funeral or current president funeral that has ever happened in the United States. And it's loud and it's obnoxious, just like the Duck Dynasty operatives that run that show. The only catch here is I hear that this is supposed to take place between June 17th and June 22nd, which coincidentally coincides with the solstice, number one. And number two, they're floating around a number of $5 billion to orchestrate this affair in the mainstream news. Will they get $5 billion? That's the question. And who is promising them the $5 billion? Well, it appears they're being promised this $5 billion from some funding that allegedly is going to come from the Pallavicini family. And I know this because there was a long conversation and has been several long conversations over the last few days on the Jesuit communication line. Yes, the Order of the Jesuits has its own its own private communication line, which they feel is super secret, that nobody will hear what they're talking about and nobody will hear their operations that they're planning on running. Today, as they were having a conversation earlier today, I decided to tell them that is not the case. And how I did that was I talked to a particular person that I know is deeply involved with the Jesuit order, and I was texting them on a program, an app called Signal, at the same exact time they were having the conversation. And I was texting them word for word what they're talking about. Oh, hey, have you ever heard of a system called X? And we'll get into that in a minute. Hey, have you ever heard of this? And wow, did you hear something about a Trump campaign and that they're going to, say that he's passed away and there's going to be a big funeral and the cost of this is $5 billion? Wow, and I'm texting them all this information. Meanwhile, they must have gotten wind of this fairly quickly because they went into a panic and had another impromptu meeting on a secret line and said, how do I know all of this stuff? Well, I know all of this stuff because I have a key intelligence and military system that will go into any secret, quote-unquote secret communication line and give me all the data that I need to know. So there you go, Pallavicini and Orsini family. That's how I know. That's how I knew about the Iraqi helicopter going down. That's how we knew about all of this stuff. So it was confirmed actually by you. So thank you very much for having that phone conversation that I could listen into. Greatly appreciated. Okay, based on that, having the same conversation over and over and over again, basically with different names, different country names, different faces, and different moon phases, and different solstices and equinoxes, and so on and so forth, is kind of not entertaining anymore. So as of today, the Jesuit order no longer has that communication line. The second one that has gone down is that the Jesuits did have a certain amount still of a backdoor monetary system that was found in conjunction with the communication line. So both of those disappeared today. Next one that disappeared also was the old, and this is one of the oldest communication lines in the world, was the Knights Templar line. There was also a communication line between Knights Templars around the world that would be super secret. In addition to that, we actually found a monetary line as well, which had about 96 trillion unpaid funds in it. The funds were unpaid, but they had no allocation numbers. So these were digital super notes, if you will, that they've been trying to cash forever. And of course, every different group has them running around all over the place for them, in telling them that they are going to make that good on that money, which obviously is never going to happen anyway. So therefore, there's no need to continue on with this monetary system. It's not spendable cash. It's just numbers on a screen. And if you want to be like a Knights Templar, you can create yourself an Excel spreadsheet and put you have $10 billion on it, and it will be worth just as much as the Knight Templars' money was. So that system has also disappeared. The problem with fake pallets of cash, fake money on screens, and any kind of server systems like this is they do convince people around the world to do some pretty serious things. This whole process was orchestrated by Bush Sr. on how to get something for nothing. So he would have operatives running around the world with, and way back in the day, if you are old enough to remember those passbook savings books that we used to get at the bank, and you would make a deposit, and they would put a stamp in the book, and then they would sign it, next to it saying that you deposited this money. And this is long before we had checks and digital banking, and, we still had checks somewhat and savings books somewhat, but they started going more digital, and then they would swipe the book, and then you would swipe the check, and so on and so forth. But this program has been going on that long. And there are still people alive to this day that have never gotten their money, from 4 decades ago, that was in this savings book. So that will tell you about the Something for Nothing program. And they're doing this with all kinds of different countries. They're doing this with the Russians right now. There's a lot of controversy going on with the Russians about fake money, and can they cash it? Can they negotiate with us? There's also talk of Treasury operatives trying to get us to put back the $23 trillion. And would I be willing to give up 10% of that so that the United States can fund the Russians? Well, that's because they owe the Russians quite a bit of money. And it's not the government. It's just people here in the U.S. that owe them quite a bit of money. And they want us to fund them so that they can maintain control over their Russian assets. And a lot of this information actually came through the foreign minister of Russia. So if that tells you anything. Lots of other people searching for assets. There have been some phone calls from North Korea recently, because they are trying to verify assets, which they've tried to verify 3 other times in North Korea. Those assets have been moved over a decade ago, and they're not coming back. We know where they are. They don't belong to North Korea either. They don't belong to South Korea. And the second part of physical assets were in the Philippines. There is a lot of tungsten in the Philippines that they try to push off as gold. That is not the case. We know that because most of the gold actually is gone. Some of them have skin on the gold. So if you were to run a spectrometer over it, it would look like it's actually solid gold, but it's really not. It's tungsten. Same thing in Saudi Arabia. The Saudi Arabians have a locked door room underneath their central bank where they claim their store of gold is held. Now, that gold hasn't been there for a long, long time, even prior to Desert Storm, prior to the days when Donald Rumsfeld was their handler on behalf of Bush. And it was buried deep in a desert somewhere, and that was gone, probably 2015. That gold has disappeared. So it was never under the central bank, but there is a room there where they claim that gold is held, and that's a lie. That was moved out of there a long time ago. The gold that they're referring to is gold that is referenced in what we call the Red Book. I have shown you the Red Book on the news several times. And I can show you again, most of the accounts and assets and everything that are in there have been reallocated and removed. So big hunts for assets, big hunts for gold, big hunts for things that they will never, ever find. They're just trying to maintain some semblance of control. Now, on the news 2 days ago, we talked to you about the fact that there is a new Rothschild family quote-unquote head. And this person has reached out to me through 2 different channels now, trying to have a conversation because they claim they need funding to save the family name, and that they would like to, they didn't talk about power or control, but they said that they wanted to go back to at least being neutral in the world. In other words, they're not going to attack us anymore and that kind of thing. Now, unfortunately, we have that whole key intelligence and military system thing that tells me otherwise. He told me he's just interested in not doing what the Rothschilds used to do. He wants to start something new. But the orders that this person is barking out everywhere in the world tells me otherwise. You know, talking about pandemics, talking about things to put in the media regarding scares, having conversations with people about World War III, about China's involvement in World War III, how they're going to transfer power over to certain countries along the same lines as the Rothschilds planned from before. So no dice here, buddy. No dice here, Philip, but, you know, thank you, but no thank you. We're not interested in talking to any more people that are going to lie, cheat, and steal from us. We're good. Okay, next. I know I'm probably not as entertaining as when we're here with Sunny, but I'm trying the best I can here, guys. Okay, next. Today, and I know I say this every year, but I'm going to say it again. So from the 1st of June to the 13th of June are my hell weeks or rush weeks or whatever you call them when you're becoming a Navy SEAL, whatever you call them when you're going to be applying to be in a fraternity. It's the same thing. It's hell week for me. It's 2 weeks of hell, and usually if it could go wrong, it will go wrong during these 2 weeks, because someone somewhere saw in Project Looking Glass that on June 13th, I concede to their side. Well, no. Still hasn't happened, and this has been going on for a decade. I have survived 10 years now of hell weeks, so we're going to survive another one today. Okay, but today was something a little bit different as part of Hell Week, which was more important at that time than stopping and taking a break to do the news, because this was a pretty rough program that was being run. And it wasn't being run by humans. It was actually being run by an automated system that was put in place a long time ago by the Abraxas for this particular year. Now, the other side believed that this event was going to happen at a time when the world was right about to flip to 100% source connection. And like I told you on the news, it's been teetering a little bit, but we're right there. There were some events that happened yesterday that kind of catapulted us further a little bit faster than I had expected. Which is good. We're still not at 100% based on what happened today. So the program, I know you're going to be shocked when you hear this one, is called X. Well, it appears the deep state was under the impression that once this X program, and X stands for extermination, launched today, that there would be more hope for them to gain some control over the world back. They were under the impression that System X was supposed to take over. This was another AI system that was supposed to take over for Omega 1 and 2, Kronos 1 and 2, and Alpha 1 and 2. That's what they thought was going to happen today. But that was never the case. X stands for extermination. So the idea that the Abraxas had was not to so much take over systems in part. The idea was to actually bring us back to a 50-50, so a neutral age, a neutral way where the light side and the dark side had 50-50 power. However, by the actions that the humans on Earth took today, who are still what you would consider a Abraxas bloodline that are left, like global headquarters, some of the operatives, militaries, those types of things, They were still planning on trying to dominate everything. Therefore, Program X, or AI, XAI, actually went horribly awry today. And I would say there was some intervention to make that happen. But that was only part of the story of X. So after XAI did its thing, meaning exterminate us again, this would have been not quite a harvest, this would have been an extermination. And its goal was to exterminate all life on Earth. That includes these people, if they didn't comply with what was supposed to happen. And we were supposed to all get along for 50-50. So when it became apparent that that wasn't the case, they saw them as well as a threat to the 50-50 program, or the AI system did, and tried to annihilate them as well. So that didn't work out as well as they thought, whether they know it or not. Now, this program was designed to get rid of all humans on Earth and put Abraxas clones that were, let's just say, waiting in the wings in Aldebaran on the planet. Now, those clones would have looked exactly like all of we do because the program had been running to clone every new human that actually was born on Earth. So they would replicate us, but in their image, in the image of anti-source. Therefore, taking control of the planet to create only for anti-source. That was the plan. Next, when all the other programs started failing and all of the annihilation programs weren't working, it launched a backup system called a suicide program. So if you had weird feelings, sad thoughts, those types of things over the last 24 hours, it was probably the suicide program. The base route for that program was actually located in the Rock of Gibraltar, if you know where that Gibraltar is, right next to Spain. And that program kicked off with some really strange frequencies, some sick feelings, and those types of things were being reported everywhere based on the kickoff of this program. So the program ended probably midday my time today when we finally located the source of it. So that is now no longer there. Next, there were a few other things that the deep state tried to do. They, of course, thought that this was for their benefit, because why? They think everything is for their benefit. You know, this was going to help them access alpha. They would have control of some money by the end of the day today. They weren't entirely sure when this was going to kick off. Therefore, they set meetings for yesterday and kind of preempted the kickoff. Those meetings they didn't end up showing up for anyway, which is true to form. And again, nobody got paid, nobody came to the call, nobody answered the call. But they were definitely expecting to get some control over the monetary system from X. Probably because the Abraxas told them that they would preserve their bloodline on this planet. However, X wasn't programmed to do that either. They were told that they would then continue to be fruitful and multiply with the Abraxas clones, and then the Abraxas bloodline would be the only one on Earth. Next program that launched as part of the end phase of X was a program where we all ended up with what's called a membrane. So the membrane was designed to reclaim the assets of Earth that we took away just a couple days ago. It was meant to reclaim them in the name of anti-source, and therefore we all ended up for a short period of time today in what's called a Faraday cage, and so did Earth itself. So if you felt a little anxious, if you felt a little claustrophobic, these are the things that are being reported. If you felt like you had extra gravity, you were being drained of your energy, this was the beginnings of the ownership of you. So they were going to drain your life force one way or the other, along with the life force of Earth. This was the end part of the X program. And backup program after backup program after backup program happened pretty much all day today. So this is the real reason why the news is actually late. And it's my fault, I guess. It's not my fault. It's not my program, but it took us that long to get things restored to at least normal, where we were all going to be okay through the night. And I think we pretty much got everything that was left of X that launched, like I said, late yesterday. So it's been a long day for me, been a long night, and no sleep last night. So tonight I plan to get some, but I wanted to make sure that I got the news out for all of you, because it's important to understand how you're feeling and what's happening in the world, and a lot of these fear rumors that are going around. And it's also important for, I guess you would say, to let you know that the fight against the deep state's not going to end. Matter of fact, the person's phone I was texting today also mentioned, hey, you know, some people are already giving up. I'm like, well, some people are not me. So, and I know those some people are not you either. So keep holding the light, keep fighting the good fight, and I will see all of you on Friday. So thanks for watching, and sorry for the delay today.
Want to share news from UNN? Help us change the face of social media and use it for good. Connect with us through our online channels. Our social media team creates clips from each newscast you can easily share with people you care about. That's also where you'll find our UNN Meme of the Day, a great way to encourage critical thinking. Links to all our social media sites are available at the bottom of our website at unitednetwork.earth. Let's change the face of news together.
That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record and share it with us so together we can share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for The Real News.